So we got Rotten here, playing as Indians, the blue trunks. Well, Stock is playing Greeks today, so really all we've seen so far today is Indians and Babylonians for a game. Otherwise it's been 2 Indians mirrors. No. Yes. Yeah, 2 Indians mirrors. So Stock is going straight for the food. Gonna go for a wood storehouse by the look of it. Hasn't gone for any early wood gathering to get spears. Rotten also playing double storehouse openings to the wood and the initial hunt. Kill these guys with your scout too. Taking hunting dogs pretty early here. Stock hasn't thought to do so. So this can sort of go 2 ways. Like, it does mean that Stock is saving 75 wood to start a barracks or start HQ, and then that gold comes in handy for training your initial units, or as well as, you know, getting handsaw if you're going to get that. So if Stock doesn't push, Rotten's going to pull ahead though, because eventually that will pay off. So you can get 2 TC unharassed here, and then Stock, you know, ends up queuing this because, oh, well, I might as well take it. It's sort of been a bit of a mistake, really. But there is one gazelle out in the middle of nowhere there. I haven't really been paying much attention to any herdables being picked up by players, but I don't think any have at this stage, so I don't know if we even have any. I don't think I can actually see them until players can see them too. Because you can see huntables, but I don't think you can see herdables in the Fog of War, even as spectator. Actually, no. I don't think so. Anyway, we'll get back to that. I'm pretty sure you can't from memory. So Ron's starting his stone gathering. Stock's just about to start his. Rotten down on score because, yeah, he has spent on that food upgrade, but it's going to mean he's burned through his hunt a little bit less than Stock has. He's gathered a little bit more out of it than Stock has. He's basically 1 deer through, while I think Stock is effectively 2.5. Oh no. The gap wouldn't be that big, so Lebo would have finished one. Because he didn't really spread his workers, whereas Stock has. So age up's pretty similar timing. 14 to 13. Phil's favouring Rotten, but his age up's going to be a little bit slower. So, figuring out what his opponent's about to do. His scout's a bit tankier. A little bit faster as well. Oh no, same speed, but a little bit tankier. Indian Scout does merely cavalry DPS. Is that supposed to be the case, not merely infantry DPS? It's a pretty passive early game here with neither player going for a barracks rush. It does mean fairly quick second town centers here, and Stock's going to start his a little bit quicker than his opponent. Lebo playing a bit more expansively here, so he's got access to a lot of resources here, and eventually can go for a pretty good market line as well just out of this, whereas Stock really making it very hard to push into his base, because that is 2 giant towers with the health of a fortress at this stage of the game. So Rotten, if Rotten falls behind on army, things are more of a threat for him. But at the same time, because he's so expansive, it's a bit easier for him to just shuffle things around and always be gathering what he wants to gather. You know, and avoid having to fall back on berries pretty early. Whereas, you know, Stock's basically saying, I want to go to berry picking in the early game here. Once this hunt's gone, he can sort of defend this one. Like maybe if he walls that, or just sort of parks his military here, maybe even house walls up through here. But beyond that, like, he's going to have to go on those berries. Whereas Rotten, I mean, he can get pushed off this one, but this town center's on top of another one and a gold mine. Like that gold mine for stock is starting to get a little bit out of the way. If it was any map other than sheltered here with, you know, these big ass caverns in the way, sorry. These big caverns in the way, a little bit more rush distance than equal footing. I think if that wasn't the case, if it was another small map, it'd be very easy to try and pick off resources like that. I mean, Rotten's in the same boat. Where this woodline's situated works against him. If it was sort of up here, he could wall that end and just keep gathering, you know. But enough of that rambling. So, both our players, 2 TC production here, pretty neck and neck, 24 vills at 24 now for Rotten. So slightly later there for him. Barracks here for stock. Rotten finishing off a barracks, neither player opting to go for a stables first here. I don't think you'd see a lot of range first in a matchup like this, because they've both got an anti-ranged unit out of the stables. And they've both got access to bowmen, but also have, you know, counter infantry, counter cavalry infantry. The stables following up, and stables. So, both players opting against the range at this stage. They've kind of metagamed each other here in a way, because ideally they want a range to clean up everything that comes out of the barracks. Whereas the stables is more of a reactive play to clean up your opponent's ranged units that you're anticipating. So, I'm not sure how this is going to go, but traditionally these sorts of things work well for Greek, oddly enough, because then the moment players transition to ranges, they can transition really hard. Maybe not as quickly as, say, Persia or Babylon, but their units are individually stronger, or their archer unit, the Toxotes, is a better bowman than the Babylon and Persia units. And then on top of that, they've got a really nice beefy spearman. And the Sari have range, whereas all the other anti-ranged cavalry, they're all melee, so they've got to try and get amongst their opponent's army to actually deal any damage. Which then leaves them more susceptible to actually being killed by the units they're trying to counter. So, Ron's even gathering a little bit of stone already. He doesn't have a armory just yet, so this is a bit early. Stop gathering any stone pretty early on here. Adding 2 rangers behind this, so yeah, he can really transition to heavy tox ball after just making sure he's got a good count of Saris, a handful of spears, maybe even a handful of hypers. Ron could even fit in some garters here at some point. In fact, he already has done so. Transitioning back to making spears, because obviously he's going to be worried about the Saris. Picking off his bowman. He started his bow production. Coming from a monastery, so he's only on 3 production buildings here for military. Whereas Stock's on 4 at the moment, but Stock has actually been pop capped here a little bit, and I think he hasn't realized he's now not pop capped, so he's stopped production for the moment. Either that or he's floating to try and go to age 3 here, because I mean he's going to get the academy, and that'll give him a research speed upgrade, which also applies to your age ups. Rotten fitting in Indra's prosperity here. So Indra's gift gives him build speed. This gives him train time for eco units. Both very good upgrades to have, but this one's probably the one to go for as long as your villager pop cap's under about maybe 55 or 60. Beyond that, it becomes so insignificant that build time on buildings just ends up being a more versatile stat, because it does save you resources. Like, I mean, obviously the train time means you're going to gather more, but the build time means you're saving downtime, which also means you're going to gather more. So the longer into the game you go, I do think ultimately Indra's gift becomes better than prosperity, unless you've both been playing off one town center early on and snipe villages, or You've both been playing right into the late game, and you've killed off a lot of villagers, and maybe even killed off a TC or two on each side of the fence. So it's a very rare use case where it's actually the better thing to go for. And I mean, in this situation too, getting back to the Greeks versus Indians, the Greeks player can just retreat, because unless the Indians player specifically has the Taranga focus and leave the rest of the army behind so they retain their natural speed, the Greeks players got an easier time backing out. Whereas in reverse, the Saris, just because they've got that extra range, it's a little bit easier for them to engage armies when players are trying to do that little dance, that little standoff, see who wants to back off first. So Indians player Rotten's got a lot of resources in the bank here. I don't think he's really made... Oh yeah, here we go. He's worked in a couple of elephants. So if you can do so, these guys are really good to have. You can see he's got a few eco-techs there as well. Wheelbarrow, which won't benefit the Ellies, but the Picker's Gloves, the Hunting Dogs, the Handsaw, all that will. Stock. Very similar upgrades right now. Actually, he's fitted in... Or fit in, sorry. His pickaxe and... What's the other one? Chisel. So for the stone and gold upgrade. So Stock's actually leading on eco-techs here. It's very similar populations, favouring Rotten, 63 to 61 Vil count. So Rotten, very slightly bigger army than Stock here. But this is a nice choke, and it's ultimately just wide enough for the Saris to get on top of the bowmen. So 3 bows getting deleted there. So good control here from Stock. Rotten having to back off for the moment. He hasn't lost a huge amount. A handful of bowmen, which will be annoying. At the same time, they're not the most expensive unit he's fielding here. They're only 40 resources. His infantry, 55 and 60 resources. But Stock has a really nice back line now, and he's just maintained that non-stop Toxotes production here. Rotten going to age 3, Stock's already hit age 3 as well. Stock sitting on his opponent's doorstep, waiting for Temper to finish. I'm not sure if he would have been... Oh no, he's actually already fit in his range damage upgrade. Rotten has got plenty of stone. Hasn't started the age 3 TC and hasn't got any armory upgrades. He's been gathering stone pretty heavily and pretty early here. And quite expansively around the map for these far resources. I think he knows he's pretty safe unless Stock wants to want it all the way around there, and I don't think he's going to bother. Neither player's really gone for any watch posts at the moment. But Stock, age 3, town centre, a little bit more expensively than his last one. I mean, he possibly could have put it about here. A bit better control of this. Then at the same time, having it there, I suppose you can mark it from here later on. So pickaxe now for Rotten. He's getting chisel as well. He's getting pull saw. Stock getting handcart, who also has pull saw already. Stock's got a number of eco-techs now. In fact, he leads Rotten on gold techs at the moment, because Indians only have the one gold tech in pickaxe, and Rotten's not making use of shrine gold generation at all just yet. He does have the monastery techs, is getting the armory. So Varney's wisdom's a really nice handy upgrade to get as soon as you're age 3. Otherwise, haste is pretty good if you're going to be doing hit and runs a lot. If you think you're going to be trying to engage and disengage in fights, or even have to ward off raids by your opponent, just because it makes everything faster. So it'll be a nice snipe here for Stock if he can get this gather early, because it's effectively 3 villages going down. Or 3 and a bit. Sorry, not 3 villages, 2 villages, or 2 and a bit. Spears here on time, but they're just going to be a bit too slow. One of the Saris falls. So Rotten, get these guys back to work. Well, Stock massing up. He's got a few pelters in the mix now. Not too many, but just enough that he can actually, if he's able to micro them in the middle of the fight, he might be able to pick off really thin out that bowman count without also over-investing in them. Because the Toxotes is going to just be way better against infantry and cavalry. The stock's raining death. He's looped his Saris back around here. But at the same time, there's not a huge front line with those spears, and there's no Prodromos at the moment here for stock. So he is going to have to keep on backing up. This bowman ball is actually going to get savaged here because there really is just no proper front line for it at the moment. The Saris, they're just facing a wall of a mix of infantry and cavalry here. The Tarangas are soaking up enough splash from the well, not just of this ranged hellfire, not actually splash, to shield the rest of the infantry here. Because every one of these Taranga is really low. We don't yet have Prodromos out in the field here for stock, so things have really turned in Rotten's favour here. In fact, he might start converting a couple of Saris, which would be really nice because they're going to be a handy tank to have. Don't think anything ended up getting converted there. A little bit unfortunate for Rotten's gurus. But man, they look sick with that Zahax idol. Holy. That's a proper legendary weapon. This is like something out of like a World of Warcraft raid. Holy. That's impressive, man. This game is great. So stock backing off with his tail between his legs, but it's not over yet. He's really still quite neck and neck on the score. Probably needs to get a little bit of stone here so he can look at forward forting or towering or even starting a wall. This is a really good map for walling. Rotten. That's a nice fortress. He could possibly even go slightly further up. Really protect the hunt as well as the gold mine. And it's going to do well to deny resources for his opponent. I don't think the entirety of this has been scouted out because there really should be another berries or another probably gold mine on this side. It might also, yeah, there is a hunt there. So some forward building here. Mahoutcan, this is going to be really good because you got access to 2 elephant units in age 3. So Egypt, I'm pretty sure Egypt have to go to age 4 to get their Ellie archers. Mahoutcan, obviously cheaper than a fortress and a little bit faster building. Easier to take down, but you can spam it a little bit more like a siege workshop and get an awful lot of elephant units quite quickly in age 3. So I think Rotten will be looking to bank up here, take a fight very shortly, and then just start piling on the elephant troops. He has a lot of ranges though, and they're not going to be as good against the front line, but if they can hit the back line, they'll actually be more valuable than the bowmen. But there's, yeah, just not a huge amount of bowmen here. Not a huge amount of blade chariots, but just a nice all-round unit here. Obviously, they'd be under a bit of threat here. So Rotten's army actually really being chopped up here by stock. Don't think that was the engagement he was looking for. In fact, I think he might have even been better off just trying to attack around here. Just bleed off a couple of those units. Maybe not make as many ranges, and they just already have a bunch of war elephants or elephant archers in the mix. Or just start transitioning to just a massive blade chariot Taranga army. A bit like a camel chariot army from Egypt. Because it's amazing how flexible Indians are, but if you get caught doing the wrong thing, you'll be punished for it. They're a bit like Persia in that respect, and Egypt. Well, all civs to an extent, obviously. Like if you're not countering, you're gonna get smacked. But just in terms of your overall army compositions, just so that you, even through counters, you maintain relatively even parity on that, and then still have a better army to use. One that's more flexible, more capable of sieging down stuff or raiding around the map. Tanking fire under enemy town centers when you're pushing. All these factors come into play when it comes to that. And at different points of the game, things are worth, more or less. Like early game, tanking under town centers is massive. Late game, being able to destroy town centers is massive. Rotten still hasn't actually got scale mail at this point. Now I know there's not a huge front line here for stock, but I mean it is still a relevant component to his army, and the upgrade is cheaper, research is faster than Shield Trust. Libo doing a bit of a dance here, unsure of where to go in, and he's actually going to try and hit near the fort, which he did take a little bit of damage before the fight started. This way you can sneak in a war elephant and maybe kill these villagers here, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get all of them. Stock does have loom at this point, and the war alley, one on its own. They're a great tanking unit at this stage, but they're not the highest damage. He's going to be able to kill 2 or 3 villagers here, but the rest of the army ultimately gets mopped up, and Stock also has trade set up. I don't think Libo has a market yet. So Libo's had plenty of map control here, but just it's starting to slip through his grasp because Stock's actually walling up all these gold mines and just making sure Libo can't take too much of the map. He's going to have to commit to gold mines eventually too, because Libo's ultimately only got 2 left. Oh, 3 actually, I should say. No, 4. Never mind, I'll take it back. Libo's got plenty of gold, but at least this way Stock's got 2 gold mines. He's not going to run out. His market line for the moment is safe because Rotten's not actually aware that Stock is already trading. Doesn't have to worry too much. 166 gold, so it's pretty good trip there. Plenty of gold. In fact, Stock, his eco is massive at this point. Got 3 markets. Pumped out plenty of caravans. 89 to 98. So Rotten leads on eco population, and I don't think he's fully saturated his shrines, but he is starting to get them now. A little bit late on it, but better late than never. But this is hurting Libo. He's got 3 war elephants here, so this is what, 9 population and 275 resources each. So what's that work out to? Bloody 825 resources in total, just sitting, chilling here, doing nothing. He's going to age 4, just at 180 pop, not a lot of resources in the bank. And I mean, Stock, not a stone or wood. But I mean, he's getting there with his food eco, and these caravans, man, they've really put in the work. He's not even mining. Actually, I take that back. I was going to say he's not even mining that much, but ultimately, the mining plus the caravans is giving him heaps. So Rotten's leading on eco size, which means he's lacking on army size. So it does make pushing in situations like these hard. And now at this stage, Stock has a lot of resources in the bank and a little bit of a quicker age 4 hit. All this gold is going to be handy for getting things like Gastra Champion, Hippocon Champion, Prodromos, Horseshoes, Hoplite. So Stock has just spent like 4,500 gold there. And then, 1,000 food, a little bit of stone. Pretty much all straight at once there. Rotten's getting plenty of gold in the bank. He's up to 40 gold gatherers himself. Actually, that started to collapse there now. He needs to get these guys back to work. So Rotten's age 4 finishing here, but Stock is finishing off a lot of big upgrades, although his current composition doesn't actually have a lot of them, so he can't really make use of this yet. He needs to get some Hippocons out, he needs to get some Gastras out, but he's got to get the town centre to get 200 pop, and then he's actually got to start losing some of these units. He could even potentially delete them at this stage, or obviously it would be more valuable to actually send them in on a bit of a suicide mission and kill something of his opponents. Considering Libo has not walled up at all either. I mean, if it was anything other than ranged units who were trying to discard, you'd have the speed to try and sneak around here and just kill a couple of villagers. Now, in saying that, this stage of the game, with the banks our players have got from sitting back like this, um, sometimes killing villages just means it frees up population for them for an even bigger army. It's rotten with elephants, with a shrine. Has he got more shrines? Because he really, at this stage of the game, he probably should have all 4 shrines. Have Karma research to get his 4th shrine, to get his last 5 sacred cows, and you know, you are getting basically villagers gather 8 pre-upgrades out of the shrine, and then what is that? What's the upgrade? 0.05. So you end up with 0.15 per, which is pretty solid. Because you go from needing 10 on the shrine to basically, well, 2 shrines to basically be worth a villager to even less. You know, so ultimately you're getting about 5 villagers worth of economy out of that. This constant gold gathering for nothing. Like, doesn't take you population or anything. Once you've researched this, once you've trained these guys and got the buildings, you know, that's enough room to fit in an extra Palintenon. So you can get another one of these and start tearing down these. So Rotten's pushing. He's got his unupgraded rages here, pushing into the Tox champion. Palintenon in the mix as well, so trying to take out this production. We could be actually trying to take out the blade chariots. Actually, it is going to do just that. Oh, and a Juggernaut's been converted here by Stock, so that's really impressive stuff. Converting a Juggernaut with one of his priests. Might even be able to get another one here. So, he's trying to convert 2... He does convert 2 Juggernauts in the end. Scary, and one of them is actually quite beefy. So Stock converting a couple of the Juggernauts. He's got his Hippocons now, got his Peltists. Stock is just banking at this point, and this is going to really help. Divine Vision, extra healing, and converting range. Rotten starting to dip a little bit on food here. So, I mean, he's got plantations, but he's got villages on them. Really, he could have less plantations and have elephants on them. And also, if he gets Bountiful Harvest, he can get 3 gatherers per plantation, so you can get 3 elephants on a plantation, which is 6 population, versus a single villager on a farm. And right now, Stock's actually killing it on food eco. He's got all of his farm techs. Lebo's actually lacking one of his for the time being. He's trying to get that population out. Still trying to make some caravans because he's starting to dip on gold. He really needs to get a storehouse there. And maybe saturate that gold with some more villages as well, because right now his unit training's really starting to collapse here. He's having to spend resources on gold to actually train units. And with Juggernauts on Stock's side, and he's able to heal these up too. They're really, really scary here for Rotten. There's not a lot of ways he can deal with this army, and his opponents started to wall up so much that it's just starting to become unfeasible for him to actually hit and run anywhere. You really need to try and tear down this wall and hit the caravans, or, you know, go through 3 layers on this other side. You can cut through here, there's only 1 layer. There's a little bit of travel time and you've got to sneak past the army. Like, Stock is just doing everything right at the moment, and Rotten's eco is not really in the state to try and turn this around here. I think he's lost a little bit too much with that forward base up there. Losing those Juggernauts to conversion was pretty big as well, so it was really nice to see Stock positioning his priest to get those conversions off. The fortress going up here for Stock. Got plenty in the bank. Rotten tapping out there. GG. I want to see. So some of those fights early on really hurt Stock, but then he was able to rebound there. Like Lebo was hurt a bit with that one there. Stock had a massive loss there, but did catch up with the age 3 comp. Then Lebo, I think, probably took some fights he didn't need to, or needed to maybe get the War Elephants a little bit quicker there. And then once he actually did sit back and make the Juggernauts and went in, then he just lost them through to conversions. But GG, well played, guys. That was a really impressive display there from Stock. Oh, I didn't even have the UI on. What's wrong with me? Sorry, guys.